Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, D. How are you?
Buddy, I am doing well, man. It's such a beautiful day outside. It's kind of hard
I
not to
know
be in a good mood.
it is fantastic. I am stoked about today's subject too. Pretty much every subject that we have, I like, but um,
Right, right.
uh, the reason why I love it today is we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. It is something that we can create. We're approved um, with Android as well as iPhone or Apple, and that's apps. And we want to talk about apps because as a creator, some people, believe it or not, can actually start here. So we're going to talk about apps. We're also going to talk about some of our downfalls that we've done that maybe this is going to help people. And but we're going to spotlight a couple companies, at least in industries as well. So one moment, let's do this. And by the way, if anyone has a question, feel free to, whoops, let's do this. That's weird. All right, all right. If you're stopping by, say hi, question, feel free to ask us a question. If anyone starts jumping on and wants to see something, like if I don't know the answer to something, if you can find that for us, that would be huge and helpful to us as well. We have a couple of announcements to make today, which I'm excited about as well. And let me just get back down to here. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Let's do this. I got to bring this down a little bit. And let's go here. So let's do this.
Are you live?
All right, all right. All right. So we're going to talk about the app industry in Spotlight, one of them. And you know what's funny about an app is, believe it or not, they're a lot easier to manage. They're a lot easier to build, believe it or not. Like some people think they're extremely hard to build. It depends on how you're going to go about doing it. But
Right.
we built the app for Jubilant Careers. And ironically, there was, now mind you, I guess this is an oxymoron a little bit, because to some degree you have to build a database, build like a website, because they have to download it and all that good stuff. And the app's got to work somewhere. So you got to have a server for it. But at the end of the day, with an app, you launch an app, you have all of these platforms that are kind of promoting it for you because you're in the app store, right?
Right.
And there is a way to get, and we're not going to talk about that today. We'll actually have where we discuss more about apps inside Link Boss, and inside of Link Board. But at the end of the way, an app is an incredible way to get more business to your existing business. But more importantly, it's a good way to actually create a company just with the app alone. So we're gonna talk about one right now. First of all, let's talk about the industry. So the app business is projected to hit 158 billion by 2027. Just under that, or it might even be a little more. Even the course creators are going to be there, like courses online.
Right,
So
right.
here's two industries, right, that are just very promising. And so let's talk about one of the apps that I'm speaking of, and that is, I want to say the app itself. One second, I'll get the name of it. It's Simply Fasting, or Simple Fasting. I think it's Simply Fasting, and that is doing 500,000 per month.
That's
So what is
amazing.
that? 6 million a year?
Yeah, sure is.
And guess what? They started in 2019. So here's how I look at it. So imagine if you have a few ruples sitting by, right? And you have an incredible app idea, and I've got a plethora of them. By the way, anything health and fitness is going to be big. If you have a following, you know that company right now that's on Facebook, They're always doing those challenges. What's the name of that? It's kind of like
Like,
keto.
yeah, like those E something fit
Yeah,
challenges or the
E
E E E. I call it.
E2M,
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Yeah,
Incredible, but he's already got an audience. So imagine this. Now, if I was his coach, um, matter of fact, when they started E2M, they did not know that it was going to do what it did. Like, do you know that all they had was a group? First, they had a fan page, then a group. And then when people got in the group, it was like, we'll send you a PayPal thing. And when they got the receipt, you were in.
right.
And then you go into this group that has the videos. At that time, they didn't even have a website. I would love to get him on the pod too, because there is a lot. You know, it's funny. There's people that go to college for business. And in reality, if you just be a student of what's going on and you study a company, you could get way better results, especially if it's something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know what I mean, and definitely like there's no experience like real world. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, like theories are great. Real life, real life is a bunk shot on the head.
Not to mention, it's a fact that even when my son was in college, he asked his professor, "How many businesses have you owned or sold or, exited?" He was looking for the really cool, I exited at this, and
Right.
I had nothing else to do, so I wanted to teach it.
Teach right.
This guy literally said, "Well, no, I failed." Like, he failed at 2 or 3 businesses that he had. He realized it was a lot harder than he thought. And he says, at this point, I had knowledge, so I'm just going to teach it. Come on. Like, you could just imagine what that did to my son. At that point, he's like, why am I learning from this guy? Right.
Right. Right.
So going back to the apps, if I was E2M, I would definitely, maybe they have it, I don't know. I would definitely create an app that really organizes the whole movement that they're doing, because it is a movement. And these people that are involved, they are like warriors. They live and breathe this program, which is amazing, right?
Right.
And but if they produced an app to where not only do you join, but now you download the app, and maybe the app is free, but then when you join the challenge, the actual E2M challenge, there's meals in there. They do all of these things. And that's another thing. Like, we own Grub Guys, so you imagine if you were somebody that's got this program and you're always showing them you got to eat, grass fed or organic chicken and stuff like that. Now, can you imagine if you could be a supplier to that?
Oh, dude, 100%.
So it's all of these things. So I look at apps as incredible. 2 things. Number one, it's a great door opener. It's a great revenue generator. It can be a business all of its own, but more importantly, it can really enhance a company or a business that's already out there, right?
Oh, dude,
So
absolutely.
I really love this. So Simply Fasting does right around 500,000 per month. Do I have that sticker up here? Hang on, let me just do it. Let me bring that up. And one moment. So, have you thought of apps yourself? We have a couple, like
Yeah, right.
Contractor Pages is coming. The app is not there yet, but Jubilant Careers, the app is available. That helps people get a job. That helps people
Right.
that need employees. They post the jobs that they want. They can do it right there on the app. Now, there
Right.
are some there are some issues with apps, especially on the iPhone. With Apple, they charge 30% of in-app purchases, but there is a way around that. It's one moment. Let's go here. So, yeah. So it's called Simple Intermittent Fasting, and it is by AM Apps. So AM Apps are earning right now their estimated monthly revenue was 100,000 times in March of 2023. And get this, they started the app in 2019, just before COVID. So it was the end of 2019. And then since then, it has grown to 400,000 or 500,000 per month.
That's amazing.
That is crazy cool.
Right.
Here's another thing nice about an app. Now, depending on how many employees you have, but with an app, you can really be a small company. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about solopreneur, being small teams.
Right.
That's where I'm my niche, what I'm passionate about. Maybe that'll change down, my future self. I don't know. Like Alex Hormozy, now he's big on acquisitions, right? Prior to that, though, he was building a gym. Then from the gym, it went to how to make gyms and
Right.
how to flourish. And then he sold those assets for 500 million, or no, I'm sorry, 100 million. And he sits on a lot of cash, by the way. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for exits myself. But I believe, and it's not just theory, this is studying the companies that are doing it. I believe you can be small and still have large rev, like a large organization that has a lot of employees.
No, for sure. I 100% agree with that. I mean, sometimes lean and mean is you can be flexible and still hit everything you need to hit.
Yes. One more. I'm going to share this. For some reason, it's not on mine. Um, yeah. Now you've had a few app ideas.
Oh yeah.
I still think I'm not going to say them.
No, we're right. That's why I'm not. Yeah.
I come to find out I was wrong on that. Like I was sharing a little too much. Now we're always going to share like business wise, but there are some things that you got to,
keep close to your
behind
chest.
the curtain for sure.
That's right.
Let me do this. And let's. So yeah. So now you remember the app Calm, right?
Yeah.
Let's go here. The app Calm is what that is doing sick number. What is Calm at right now? Let's just see. App. Revenue. It is 200 million, dude. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
200 million.
Yep.
Now again, we talked about this before, but can you imagine it? Now that's Calm. So simply fasting, and there's multiple fasting apps out there. So if you're somebody, what's that?
And that 200 million was 2019.
Yeah. Do you have a current number on that? Hey, there's a website that I'm gonna, that really shows like where companies and the revenue that they're doing. And we'll spotlight that next time. But let's see here. Revenue.
Saying more than 500 million.
Wow. Can you imagine? Just for Calm. So if you have an app idea, that I don't even care if it's in fishing, if it's in camping. Matter of fact, I don't even know that there is such a thing. But can you imagine wherever there is a following, or we call them tribes, right? Wherever you see a tribe. Matter of fact, I know that there's women that go to these conventions that are about scrapbooking. Can't even imagine that, but that's not my thing, right? So, but can you imagine that? So if you can find a niche that has a tribe associated with it, app idea.
Right.
Now you got to research it. How many apps are out there? Can you make the app better? I know one thing, a buddy of mine, Eric, he invited me to an app for fasting. I'm fasting now, by the way. And, but he invited me to this app. And the very first thing I thought was, oh my God, this is horrible. Like the whole user experience was bad, right? And he didn't know that there's better apps out there. This is just one that he went with. And there's supposed to be this buddy thing and it's not working. And come to find out, this app is doing millions. It's done like 6 million already. It's like, what? So now, would I create, first of all, I don't have time to do it. Would I create a new fasting app? I could, because I'm really into it.
Right.
I understand fasting. There's a lot of research with fasting. I could like maybe pony up with somebody that has got a large following, like Tom DeLauer. He's got a huge group in fasting. Maybe he's got a fasting app. I don't know. If he doesn't, he should, because this is where that extra revenue can come from. I know with us, with Linkboard, eventually that'll become an app, right?
Right.
There'll be a free version, paid version, inlays, but it is a really great way of getting new customers, and everybody wants new customers today, right?
Oh, 100%.
And when you launch an app, you get a ton of customers. Why? Because the app stores will promote your new app. They'll even put it on the new apps that are available.
Right.
And then if you get enough downloads, they'll put the new and noteworthy of apps.
Yep, or featured. Yep.
Yeah, featured. And if you have a podcast, you can promote the app. Like there's so many ways, right? What I love about apps is the fact that they kind of run themselves. As long as the code is good and it's built well. But at the end of the day, it's a machine, it's a system that runs all by itself. And if you build it right, your culture, you see your culture, meaning you got their email, you got maybe even addresses. There's so many different things that you can do there, including marketing to them. Right. So apps really, I've always loved apps because what would give you the first thought of why you should build an app? And I don't care if you know how or not. You don't need to know how to build an app.
I mean, honestly, it's based on this. You know what I mean? Like ease of use. Everyone has one of these.
And
where do you want to put your product?
Exactly. And they are right there on your phone. You know what's also cool about an app is if you have an update or if you have things going on the back end of the app, they get a notification. You know how you have the little 1 or 2 or 3, like for instance, on my WhatsApp, if one of my team members, Raif yesterday was blowing up my phone, I finally had to tell him. But the funny thing is it's right there. It's in your face.
Right.
So there's so many reasons why apps would, matter of fact, if I was somebody starting out today, besides wanting to, if I had knowledge, I would want to teach. Besides that, I would probably go right into creating an app. That would be my first product.
Nice.
That's what I would do today. If I could start over, that's what I would do. I also believe that we would have shaved off like 3 to 4 years if we would have just ran with an app first and then from there built the back end.
Right.
So it's kind of like reverse thinking, but it's not. Like apps are the thing. Like I don't care what app you download. You may not know of that company, but Voxer. Did you know Voxer before I told you to download Voxer?
Nope.
But once you downloaded it, it's like you already knew, like, and trust it because I told you, hey, download Voxer. This way we can communicate with me. Not having to always call you. Right. My whole team is on Voxer or WhatsApp. For some reason, a lot of people in India, they like WhatsApp. I personally like Voxer. But all of my teams are either on WhatsApp or Voxer or both.
Right.
Raif and I are on Voxer together, but my other coders are on WhatsApp. So so apps, 158 billion by 2027. Now, why do you think I'm spotlighting that?
I mean, just the potential of where the market's going.
How many people have you seen or heard throughout the years of your life that said, if I only knew, I thought of that idea, who would have thought it was going to go or whatever, right? Or I wish I was on that wave when it happened, like Bitcoin. Now, believe it or not, I didn't quite believe in it because I didn't quite understand it, right? So I didn't jump in. And believe it or not, I had a couple buddies that have gone into the mill because they were in. So I've said this to myself before, but here it is. You now know this is not our number. This is real research that it's going to be 158 billion or greater by 2027. Now, here's what's cool. That's forecasting. Right. You now already know. It's kind of like knowing a storm's coming, right? Wouldn't it be nice to know that the storm's coming?
Right.
So with at the end of the day, you now know that this is a big industry. All you have to do is figure out what can I do, keep it simple, make it where it's a tool. It's got to be a tool. If they're not going to use it every day, they're going to forget they have it, right? It's not going to do you any good. You need culture. You need them using it.
Right.
And that right there, it's 158 billion. We will have our app for Linkboard by this fall, and that's going to be a really fun thing to launch, right?
Oh yeah.
Apps,
Oh yeah.
there's a financial one too that we have that is a no-brainer. Like, so many people just don't really know where they stand. Like for instance, I've had several people 40ish say, how much am I supposed to have at retirement and what would I need? Like, do I have to wait for Social Security? I said, no, this is a misnomer. You can retire whenever the number says you can.
Well, that's just it.
I literally, it wasn't an argument, but this person says, no, you're not allowed to retire until like 67. I go, what do you mean you're not allowed to retire? What tells you that?
Right.
He explained it. I said, no, that's only for Social Security.
Right.
And if you really think you're going to get that, go ahead and try to work for that number.
Yeah.
I'm betting on the fact that Social Security will be gone. Will there be something there? There probably would have to be somehow.
Right. I mean, but you got to remember the way. So I mean, like, we're paying in for the baby boomers.
Yes, and there's just not enough.
Who's paying in for us?
Exactly.
Yeah,
which also makes you wonder about that virus. There's many. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you would see why. Anyways, with that being said, I just believe that if it were me, it's funny. There was a gentleman that was talking about, I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that was talking about what he would do if he was somebody that was like 19. He says, if I had the money, I would invest $300 into like an index fund or whatever. Within 8 years, he would have this number. He would take that. He would, regardless of the hit with taxes or with a 1035 exchange, if you can do it, right, he would go into real estate and buy assets that are going to pay him monthly. With those monthly payments, he would then pay down the asset of whatever mortgage was needed on the difference, right?
Right.
By the time they hit 40, he says you would now be debt free, and those assets are paying you like, I think it was like with his projections was like 12,000 or no, it was 20 some thousand per month. So all you have to do is just think about that for a moment, right? Like, you have to think about assets producing babies, right? Assets producing interest or dividends or whatever. Right. I don't care if it's an app. If it were me and we hit it with an app, I would take that revenue. Some of it we would take as income, but I would reinvest some of that revenue that's going to produce more babies, right? Right. But you want cash flow. In LinkBoss, that's all what we're about. If you're going to be a course creator, that's a lucrative business, by the way. But it's not your end all. You take that income, right? Or you take the revenue, you take income because you got to live. Right. And then the rest of that revenue, you're reinvesting into other things that you've done your research on. You never gamble. But let's say it's an app. Now I'm going to produce an app or whatever. CoachLink will be an app. People that have courses, the ones that are consumers are going to download CoachLink to learn. The coaches are going to download CoachLink, maybe do both. Maybe they're going to learn and teach, but they're going to teach. That's what we're talking about. All righty, we're coming up to 9:30. We're going to end this, but I got to say, lastly, you look at trends. What could you do to simplify a trend? And I don't mean physical, because it's got to be a digital type thing, like education or fasting. You could see how that would work. But look at Calm. Right. Here's a Calm app, or somebody that's a yoga instructor. Now there's yoga apps as well, but the market is, some apps are saturated, like the gaming apps. If you come up with a new game, it's got to be really, really good. It's got to be almost addictive at this point, because there's just so many games, right, and there's just so much where it's going to sit, where people are going to find it.
Right.
But if you have something of real value, that would be a great way to go. Alrighty, we're going to end it again inside Linkboard or LinkBoss tonight. More training, and everyone have a great week, and we will see you next week. Next week it's Wednesday and Thursday. We were supposed to have things that had to happen, but next week will be Wednesday, Thursday, and so we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Yep. See everyone.